Ya me acostumbré a no dormir, which is great.
So you're used to not sleeping. Okay. Don't worry. You once you get past this semester, you'll be able to sleep while you want.
Like today at 5 a.m. I went to bed 5.
Oh my goodness. Well, hopefully we're past the rough part here.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any questions that you want to ask? Doubts that you want to, things you want to focus on?
Well, some of them are related to the APA.
APA?
Mm-hmm. And I haven't finished my review.
Okay. So do you want to discuss APA first?
Yes. It's about the reference list. Actually, I didn't. Well, I don't have it there.
Oh, okay.
In another document.
Okay. So what is your question?
First, in my introduction part, I have a
Quotation?
Yeah, but I don't have the reference. I have the document.
Are you referring to this? I keep 6 honest serving men.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a citation here?
Yeah. But I have the document where I took that quote, but I couldn't find the original.
Oh, so it's coming from. So is this?
Yeah, I have that author in the reference list, and the name of the book and so on. But that reference is in the document. In the one that you sent it to me. Remember that?
Yeah.
I took that quote from that.
Where did you get the reference for this?
In that document.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So to do that, we want to include.
Quiero saber si es plagio si pongo la. Puse ahí esa cosita.
Okay. Aquí, en este caso, vas a poner as cited in, and what's, and then the author of the book where you got that quote. Okay. And in the references, you're going to include this book, this reference, not this.
Okay.
See? So here you can say, now is this, okay. Okay, but is this the hook for the introduction? Okay. Okay, so for hook for introduction, it's a little bit different. I wouldn't include a citation. I would just include the whoever said it. This is a little bit different. This is like if it's a famous quote, I wouldn't include a citation. I would just say who said it. Okay. But your question might apply later. As cited in when a book is referencing somebody else.
Actually, I did that. Okay. In the others, I think I did it.
Okay. Now, at this point, for tomorrow, I'm not looking at the introduction. Okay? The only thing I'm looking at is the thesis statement and then the rest of your literature review. So don't worry too much about the introduction. We can worry about that later on. Okay? Now, my question I have is, do you have your thesis statement? So I'm going to say, please add your thesis.
Teacher, but I don't have clear how to do that thesis statement. Because it's in the last sentence.
Of the introduction.
Of the introduction.
I see.
but I don't have introduction. The same right?
Right. So for right now, just put a thesis statement. Some of you are only just all I see is thesis statement. That's perfect.
Okay.
And then after the thesis statement, the first level heading.
Mm-hmm.
Thesis. I see. It says to come to review.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry about the hook. Don't worry about the problem or the background. Don't worry about the introduction. Only the thesis statement, which is part of the introduction, but it's just think of the thesis statement as the main idea of your literature review. And
The thesis statement is the answer of my research.
let's see. Yes. It's the main idea of your entire literature review. Another way of saying it, your entire literature review answers your research questions. Same thing, right? Because the entire literature review is to explain an argument or to present an argument that supports your thesis statement. Right? So the thesis statement is the general answer. It's the one sentence answer. If you could answer it in one sentence, how would you answer your research questions? And then everything else is okay in detail, explaining more in detail the answer to your research questions.
Okay.
So think of it like this. The research questions is the heart of your research. It really is kind of the main focus. The literature review is to see how others would answer your research questions.
Uh-huh.
The method and discussion section is how you answer your research questions and how you compare to what the experts say. Okay. So I have some links here. I'll just include a link. There's a lot of videos on YouTube and that goes into talking about thesis statement. But think of a thesis statement as setting a claim around the main idea of your thesis. So let me include a link here. So do try to add your thesis statement. And do you have your research questions at the end?
Yeah.
Okay. What type of questions? Okay. How do teachers make questions in exchange?
I have.
Why do teachers make questions? So how do teachers present, what is it? Present questions within, you could say within a verbal exchange, if you want to stress spoken discourse.
Okay.
And then the third question, why do teachers make questions? Why? Or why do teachers organize questions in a way that promote critical thinking? Because you're talking about critical thinking. So how do teachers organize, or how do they present questions that promote? Well, but that's how. But why do they present questions in a way that promotes critical thinking? Yeah. Try to tie in one question at least to critical thinking, if you can, right?
The other one is how how do teachers present questions within the.
Yeah, how do teachers present questions within a verbal exchange? And then, let's see. You have two options here. You could focus on another how question. How do they organize questions to present critical thinking?
I think that would be better because
Yeah.
in that part I was talking about the Socratic method.
Uh-huh.
And I was going to ask you about the exchange because it's like to discourse somebody.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. For example, I think it's important like the initiation, response, and
Right.
follow. But maybe what I want to know is that part when they ask something to promote the critical thinking.
Right, but maybe the answer is within the exchange. Maybe the answer is revealed by understanding when they present it within the exchange. Or like one thing is to look at the types of questions that they ask. So do they ask content questions first and then yes no questions, or do they ask yes no questions and then?
And that's another thing. There are a lot of type of questions,
right?
But are like categories, crazy things. So I only focus on, you told me, essential questions. Well, not only that, but it's like this. It's important in the question types. And factual and essential. I told you there are a lot of types.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so here's the thing. Think of this kind of as an exploratory research in the sense that I wouldn't say, okay, I'm only going to focus on essential questions. I'm only going to focus on, what was that one? Factual questions. Analyze first. Capture the information. Analyze it. And then say, okay, I'm going to focus on these types of questions, these types of questions, these types of questions. Because you're going to have some in your literature review. You're going to describe, there are many different ways to explain the different types of questions, but that's still you're looking at how to explain this. You're looking for types of questions that are most prevalent, that are most obvious, and that you see. Okay, I noticed that these teachers they always ask content questions first and then yes no questions. That's one. Those are two types of questions. It could be no more difficult than that. Or you could say, you know what? All my teachers that I observed, they always ask opinion questions and not factual questions. Those are two types. Or you might analyze and say, okay, to promote critical thinking, they always use convergent questions or divergent questions. Those are the two types. Now, I don't know if you have those in your theory, but that's the thing.
I read the Bible.
Okay, but you're looking for, my point is, don't think right now in your research questions only on those types of, the yes, no, and content questions only. No. Don't mention the type of questions in your literature review because you're talking about different types in your in your research questions. In your research questions, don't mention specifically the 2 or 3 types.
Okay.
No. Talk about different types in your literature review and leave it open in your research questions. And then in your analysis, then you decide which questions that you want to talk about. And you talk about, now you mentioned in exchange, como no quieres hablar de este o...
No, sí quiero hablar de ese, pero...
Or no, you don't see the relationship?
Más bien no encuentro cómo... Sí.
¿Mandé?
No encuentro cómo acomodarlo, porque empecé...
En la lit review.
En la lit review. Empecé así como en el, por ejemplo, heading. Dice... Teachers questioning methodology.
Okay. Alright, so let's take some notes here. So, what's your first heading? Your first main section for your literature review.
Is questions types.
Okay, the second section?
Pero es que no sé si está bien, pero puse teachers questioning methodology. Porque, o sea, lo hice así como que, tipo,
Bueno,
con las
the
preguntas.
third section, ¿tienes otro?
Reasons to use questions in the class. Que es el why.
Okay, reasons for.
Reasons to use questions in the class.
Okay, so you're asking about when do you talk about the exchange? For me, that's the how. That's the teacher methodology. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not sure about using methodology, but yeah, it's the how. It's the sequence. It's the questioning discourse,
Uh-huh.
right? So it's like how first this question, then this question, and this question. Now, you're looking at the exchange, and part of your analysis could be the exchange about when do they ask these questions, and maybe there's some tendencies. Maybe there's in your analysis, there might be some patterns about when they introduce these questions. Is it always in the initiation? Or is it like an initiation and the follow-up to then go to the next initiation? And that's how they organize the questions that lead to maybe simpler questions to more complex questions, or complex questions to easier questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for example, I kind of understand that.
Okay.
But, for example, I have read this.
Okay.
And I separate the information.
Yes. Okay.
But I don't know, for example, I would like to include the examples here. Or I don't know.
Or you can provide
like,
your own
what
examples.
Time is it? Well, yeah,
Sí.
but kind of.
Yeah.
What time is it? 6:30. Thanks. Initiation. Yeah, can I do that?
Yeah, you can do that.
And explain what is the exchange according to, well, the Birmingham model and the other.
Yes, but obviously that's a whole book, and you're not going to explain everything. But yeah, you can explain, give examples. Maybe look at other authors that talk similar things about exchange or transactions, because transactions is related in there. It's like exchange and transaction. Transaction is just initiation response.
Okay.
Right? But yeah, I mean, choose the most important information, but just enough information that the reader understands, what an exchange is. And then if you can find research, if you have any literature on questioning and the exchange,
Okay.
right? The question is, I bet somebody has done research on exchanges and questioning. I'm guessing, but that's the idea. It's
For example, the heading, I don't like. I don't like the heading.
Okay.
Because it's teachers question methodology. I don't know how to call that, because it's the part of the how.
Right.
Right? It's first the what and question types, and then how, and it is why I.
So you have two things two options for the heading. One is questioning discourse, or how teachers organize questions in the classroom.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Just how you can say use.
Do that question. Well, not question, but how teachers.
Yes. Yeah. You don't do a question, but you can begin a phrase with how, with the question word.
Okay. That's
right. So the example, like how teachers, and it's not how do teachers, no, because that's a question. Don't put the do.
Okay.
How teachers organize or sequence, I like sequence, how they sequence questions in the classroom, obviously.
Okay. And then is the Socratic method.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Is that one?
Socratic.
How teachers organize, and then the Socratic method.
Okay, Socratic method is part of the how, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And your question?
I put that at the beginning of that section.
Okay.
And then I'm going to talk about the exchange.
Okay, you decide what's the order, what's the logical, what makes more logical sense for you? Do you talk about Socratic method first, or do you talk about the exchange first? Or
the exchange first.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, the idea though is that you are just making sure that you connect the ideas, that you're flowing from one idea to the next. You can talk about the exchange first and then go into the Socratic method.
As a way of developing critical thinking?
Yes, and if you can tie in research that links, because you're going to need some literature on exchange if you can find it. If you can find something on questioning and the exchange. Okay, but yeah, I mean, you can present first the exchange first, and then discuss the Socratic method.
Okay.
And the central questions also in the Padai, the seminar in the Padai program.
Uh-huh.
I think we talked about that in the Padai program where they talk about the seminar.
It's very related to the Socratic method.
Right, right.
And
but they have it's very much related, but they have their own protocol on how to do the seminar.
So
and that very much, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and your job really is to try to link what they say about the seminar from the Padai program and Socratic method to also explain in terms of the exchange. All right. You want to link. You want to show relationships between your concepts. So if you can find evidence, fine, then that's evidence you can mention. But if you don't, then comment.
Okay.
Right? So remember, every body paragraph is going to have an analysis. That's where, in your own words, you are comparing what you've already mentioned. So you can say, this seminar, okay, is like this. Okay, this is what it is, okay? And then that's the evidence. And then you analyze, say, okay, this is an example of presenting questions in the initiation, because you've already explained what initiation is. You've explained what an exchange is. So you draw the connection. Okay? It's not plagiarism. You're just mentioning what you just said. You're comparing and analyzing and connecting those concepts. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So that should take care of the how, right? We've got the what and we have the how.
Yeah. Now, and I have the why.
Okay.
So, reasons to use questions in the plan.
Okay. Do you have any questions about that section? How you're going to organize your thoughts and ideas in that section?
I included what we talked to, like the teachers ask questions to test their student previous knowledge, recall and recognize something, to think and reason about something, and so on.
Okay. Sounds good to me. I mean, sounds logical. Having those three sections. Now, the thing is, make sure that whenever you create your body paragraphs, that each topic sentence is a claim. That each topic sentence is a claim. Now, in Canvas, I have a page that talks about how to develop an argument, and I talk about claims. And there's one video in there that's very good about explaining what a claim is and what a claim is not. And I would encourage you to take another look at that and look at this video here that's called Critical Thinking, Issues, Claims, and Arguments. You don't have to watch the whole video. You can fast forward it, but he draws on the board and explains very in detail what a claim is and what a claim is not. But think of each topic sentence in each body paragraph as a claim, and that you're going to have a series of claims in each section. and that you look at each one of those claims, those topic sentences, and that they are presented in a logical manner. General to the specific, theoretical to the practical, easiest to the hardest, chronologically, right? Whatever the concept is, think to yourself, okay, what's the best way to do it? And you can mix those, those rhetorical patterns is what we call them. So just make sure that you have good topic sentences, and that each topic sentence, try to avoid there is, there are, and try to use verbs that are not the verb to be, so it's a little bit more dynamic, descriptive, in the active voice, typically.
Actually, well.
So when I look at the first thing I'm going to analyze when I look at your finished literature review, I'm going to look at your thesis statement, and I'm going to look at, in this case, your 3 headings only.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, okay, she's talking about the what, bien. How, okay, why, bien. Makes sense? It's all related to the thesis statement. Then I'm going to look into your first section, the what, and I'm going to look at each topic sentence of each section, of that first section only. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read the topic sentences. So I'm going to say, question, I'm going to read question types. Okay. First topic sentence, second topic sentence, third topic sentence, fourth topic sentence. Are those topic sentences coherent? That is there an order? Is it logical order? Are you going from the easiest to the most difficult? Okay. Or some general, maybe general to specific, or I don't know. Probably the easiest, in this case, right, maybe you present the easiest to the most difficult. Perhaps that would make more sense because we're talking about question types. For example, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do it like chronologically because questions, or even what? Yeah, chronologically wouldn't make sense. Like time, there's no time reference to question types. So certain patterns are more appropriate for different types of concepts. So I look at that. Then I look at the individual paragraph, and I look at the topic sentence, and I look at the supporting sentences to make sure that they're aligned. So that's how I kind of analyze, and that's how you should look when you finish. Go back and do the same thing. So just make sure everything's aligned at different levels. Main headings to thesis statement, topic sentences to main headings, supporting sentences to topic sentences. Yes. Any other questions or anything that you want me to look at or comment on in your Google Drive documents?
Just about the reference list.
Okay, what questions do you have about the reference list?
For example, in the retrieved from.
Yes?
You have to put the date.
It's optional.
Oh.
So, for example, in this case we have here, retrieved. In fact, it should say retrieved on. Well, it's fine. Retrieved. I usually put retrieved on March 13th, 2008 from, or you can simply say retrieved from, and then the link.
And the link. Okay.
And the link, yeah. And also, there's another mistake in this example. If you have a DOI from a journal, do not include the page. I'm sorry, don't include the period at the end. The DOI, this digital number here.
Yeah.
You do not need the period. You do need it on all other examples, except for a website. Okay, so after a link, you do not need a period, and after a DOI number, you do not need a period.
For example, I have one.
Yeah, so you can just take out the period.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and this is fine. This is correct the way you have it here. Okay. Check your fonts. You need to use Times New Roman font size 12.
Okay.
Now, when you one of the things you have to be careful about working in Word and copying and pasting is sometimes it changes formats.
Yeah.
So you be careful to go and check that as well.
Yes, because for example, in EBSCO, you just like preference and they give it.
Yeah,
and
but
I
it's
copy
not.
and paste.
Yeah. Right, but then you have to change, right? Okay. Any other questions?
No. Do you know if there is a way to order in alphabetical order on Word?
No, I don't know.
I have to do it.
That would be a nice little, just copy
Tool.
everything. Yeah, a little button. Alphabetize.
Well, I
They
thought
should.
that
You
you're
should talk
like
to
very
Bill. You should.
passionate with technology.
You should
he
call
knows
up
something.
Microsoft. Hey, Microsoft, got a suggestion. I don't know of a way. If you find out of a way, please
Yeah.
please let me know. Otherwise, you'll have to do it manually.
Okay.
Sorry. We can put people on the moon, but we still can't we can't organize alphabetize references automatically.
You should invent something.
I should,
Yeah.
right? I can make millions.
Yeah.
That's my next
But that
that's
was
my next project.
my idea.
Well, I'll
so-
give you some credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll split the profits.
Copyright.
All right, Lucy. Anything else we need to discuss? Doubts, questions?
No, I have my questions here, and I think that's all.
Okay. So try to finish by Friday, and this weekend I'll start giving feedback, and you'll have an opportunity to make all the changes until May 23rd.
Mhm.
Okay, next week we're going to start talking more about instrument design, but obviously if you have doubts or questions or concerns about your literature review, we can discuss those. The way I'm grading, I'm giving less weight on the individual products like literature review, method. You are getting a grade for each one of those, but the weight is less than the final draft. The final draft has a lot of weight.
Okay.
But the expectation is that based on my feedback, you're going to make changes. So hopefully by that first draft, the change, any additional changes will be minimal. Will be very small. So I'm going to be evaluating everything like as if I were an examiner, so that you are prepared, that you know what to expect when hopefully they evaluate it. I would rather, give you more feedback than maybe they'll give, so that you are okay with the final product. But I don't want any surprises like, well, we didn't talk about that, or so I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to be giving kind of a lot of feedback. Don't get discouraged by the number of feedback. Just try to make all those changes between now and the 23rd of May, so that final product is the best that it can be, right? So, yeah, that's I think how we'll be working the next few weeks. So try to finish up, and then next week we'll be shifting gears, talking about our instruments and looking at our research questions, and start thinking seriously about the planning of your research.
It's difficult.
Yeah. Do you know what school, right? You know where you're going to research. Do you know where you're going to do your research? Do you know where you're going to do your research? Do you need any type of special permission or?
It's in my job.
Okay. So they said whatever you want, whatever you need.
Yeah, you're the boss.
You're the boss. Hey, whatever. No problems. Very good. All right, Lucy, we'll hang in there.
Teacher, but do you think that my research is not like very messy? Or
so far, I don't see any messiness.
No?
I mean, I'll look at your literature review when you complete it, and if there is any messiness, we'll clean it up. We'll have plenty of time to clean it up, and by the time May 23rd rolls around, it'll be less messy.
Oh.
I think you're on a good right track here. I don't see any problems.
Yeah, but I'm blessed to be in your hands.
No, well, it's a process. It's a process, and we'll just keep changing and modifying. I think we're working well here, and you're making good progress. And I'm not concerned at this point. So just hang in there, and yeah, just keep. We still have plenty of time to get things done. We're on time, but do your best on this first, for tomorrow to get it as best that you can, and we still have plenty of time for you to make changes that you need. Okay.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
Tomorrow till
All day. I won't be looking at them probably until Saturday.
okay.
Right. So just try to. I'm going to download on Saturday. I'm going to download whatever you have on a Word document. And then I'll make changes to the Word document. So the feedback that I give everyone will be in a Word document. It won't be in Google Drive, but that's just to have a cutoff. So in case you want to continue making changes, you can. But as far as the grade, I'll download the document and I'll send everybody a Word document through Canvas with my comments on the grade. Then you get the comments, and then figure out if you want to copy and paste it back to Google Drive or just make the changes directly, however you want to do it. But yeah, that's how I will provide the feedback for you for each of the products. All right? Okay. Lucy, well, have a good week.